Hello my dear knitters, and today's videos I will talk with you about swatching. Your gauge swatch is essential and extremely important part of your project. It's a first step which you can't ever skip when you begin any knitting project. And first of all, when you swatch, you discover your knit intention, which is very important, especially if you are knitting by pattern. You need to get the same tension with the pattern, because if not, you can have very different result and you can have very different sizes and it will be very upsetting. Then what is gauge? I have here a couple of yarns to speak with you about labels and how to read labels. If you're a beginner, it will be very important information for you. I have a couple of skeins here and I'll show you different brands and how you see the gauge information on your yarn labels. Let me just make it a little bit better. Here we are. Then this is skein which, I don't know, some acrylic yarn I have, and you see here that it's a lightweight, which is like middle weight yarn, not very thick and not very thin, like middle one. I recommend this yarn, 4mm needles. It's called double knit in English, and it's you see the usually D and K letters, which is the same type of yarn which recommend for needles 4mm. And here you have this little diagram, which is by 10 by 10 centimeters or 4 inches. You have 22 stitches and 30 rows, which means that the gauge for this yarn is 22 stitches and 30 rows in a square of 10 centimeters or 4 inches. But this is recommended needles, but as we all have different tension of our knitting, we sometimes need to change needles. And if you make your swatch and you have in 10 centimeters more stitches, then it means you knitting very tight and you probably can get bigger size needles. My knitting is very loose. I'm never tight, and that's why I never get in these numbers. Then you know, this is just for you, for your knowledge. It doesn't mean that your knitting tension need to be exactly like this. If you knit by pattern, yes, it's very important that your knitting tension get the same as on the pattern. Then you can guarantee that result will be good. Just let's see. This is another yarn. It's Charisma from Drops, 100% wool. Very nice yarn, I like it. And here Drops, I like very much this brand. They have a lot of natural fiber yarns with a very affordable prices, and their brand, they have groups of yarns which are separated in groups by thickness of a yarn or weight of the yarn. And I think group A is, here we have group A is the thinner yarn, and then group B is thicker, and then group C is Aran yarn, and then group B is more or less DK yarn, which we say in UK, DK, the double knit, or light worsted, I think, in America. Recommended needles are 4mm and US size S. I don't know which which is UK probably 8, or I don't want to mislead you, then you know I don't remember which is UK side. Then here you see gauge, the same thing, 10 by 10 centimeters or 4 by 4 inches equal 21 stitches and 28 rows. You see then on this yarn it's a little bit different, but the same needles, but gauge is a little bit different. That's why I say it's just optional information, because you will count your own gauge and this will be your own information. This is another label. This can help you when you looking for some yarn for some certain project, you know. And if you have like 3mm needles, I have actually Swatch made with this type of yarn. Is different color, but you see when I made my Swatch, I saw that 3mm. It when I was doing it, holes was huge and the yarn didn't look like this nice and fluffy before washing. Then I use here 2.5mm needles. It's the same yarn. That's why I'm saying it's up to you to use to which needles you choose. And here they say that gauge is 24 stitches by 32. I don't usually look much for rows, but I had here probably 19 stitches even with the smaller needles. Then you see how it's oh no, sorry, this is not with this was with alpaca. This is a flora, which is wool and alpaca. This is 100% alpaca. Sorry, it's not the same yarn, but this is my Swatch, and this what I was talking to you, that other yarn was the same group. Then what I wanted to say you that it's all depend of your individual knitting, and we're all different and we all have different tension, and that's why we all need to do gauge swatch. Please don't skip this, please. I don't want you unravel your projects 100 times, because this is very upsetting. Then please, let's learn how to make your swatch and how to measure it. Right, for my swatch I will cast on 19 stitches, because I'm not a fast about 10 centimeters. I just don't like, and I'm lazy. I don't like to do huge swatches. Sometimes if you use like a big pattern it's necessary, but for us now, for this video, 19 is perfect. Let's go. Cast on 19. Right, I say 19, but I think with this yarn we can do 21, which will be a little bit bigger and easier for us. But you know, you can do 19 or 21 or 23. For this type of swatch, your quantity of stitches need to be odd. And let's count it again. It's always a good idea, not just for swatching, but for your project. When you finish your cast on, just count it again. Yes, 21. Take one needle, and for our first row we will do a rise or moss stitch, which will be one purl, one knit, and we will alternate them in every row, because for our swatch, let me show you here in a big one, because we usually swatching on a stockinette stitch. We count our stitches and tension on stockinette, and stockinette like to roll over in all sides. Then we need to create a frame for our swatch. Then I found that if you do it in a garter stitch, it still want to roll like this. But if you do it in a moss stitch or rice stitch, it stay basically perfect. And you know I like everything perfect. Then we knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, and then another row we will alternate them. I'll show you, don't worry. And for the first row, it will be right side. We slip first stitch. Who doesn't know me, just very fast information. I always slip first stitch and purl last one. That's just my habit, just for have it in the right position. And then we start with a purl. Purl, knit, purl, knit, and we do it till the end of the row, and we need to finish with a purl. We don't count edge stitches. Edge stitches never make a part of a pattern. Then here we come. We have a purl here, and I purl the last one. Return of work. I slip first, and here I have knit stitch. I will purl it by back loop this way to don't twist, and this purl stitch I will knit by front loop, and I will continue like this. Purl, knit, alternating them, you see, make sure you don't twist them. That's why important you know which loop of the stitch you're using. Here I come, and from this row we will start doing our stockinette stitch, where we knit all stitches on the right side and purl them all on the back side, but we will create our frame, and I will use for frame 2 stitches on each side. Then this stitch will be continue, alternating. Then basically we will purl it, because on this row it's a knit stitch. We will purl it, and then the next stitch we will always purl them, right? On the next row, then these 2 stitches we will purl in every row, and then we knit all stitches here. Now just check which loop you use. Here we start our swatch in a stockinette, and I just wanted to show you one more little thing. Here we came, and then in the final we have purl and purl last one. And then on this row I just want to show you one little hack which I saw on the internet, and I loved it, and I found it very useful, and I hope that it will be useful for you too, because when I swatch sometimes I don't remember which number of needles I used, and then bless that guy who show some life hack, basically how you can fix the number of your needles on actually on your swatch. It's easy peasy. On the first round, on the first round row, here's our frame, and then as I use 4mm needles, I just knit 4 stitches on my wrong side, and then I continue purling, and after this I just work all the time in a stockinette, creating the frame of purl stitches here on my sides. Then basically on every right row I will purl first one after H, and then I knit all of them till I come to the next last 2, and then on the wrong side I purl all of them. Then continue working like this, and I'll see you in the final of our swatch, where we will finish the top part of our frame in moss stitch, and we will cast off, and our swatch will be ready. We came here, you see, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we purl 2 last ones, and I'll see you when I do decent size of my swatch. Right, I've done here this match, and I just will do a couple of more rows. I'm on my wrong side, and I will do now a couple of rows of more stitch. Slip first, knit 1, purl 1, I will do one more row and I'll show you how I cast off. And here I am back. I've done 2 rows of moss. You can do 3, but you know, for this video I just done 2, and now we will cast off. Take out first, then you see knit stitch, you just knit it and pull through the previous one, and next one purl it and pull through, and then you go like this till the end. Right, here's in my last stitch, and then you cut your yarn. I've got a big tail, pull it through, and here we are. Our swatch is ready. And look, here on this angle, on this corner, you have this, you see, you can see, let me show you these stitches here, and you have some looking down like this and some looking up. You need to count this, which looks like this, up, and you want 1, 2, 3, 4, and it means that you used needles of 4 millimeters. If you have 4.5, you just skip one and make one more purl, and it will be 4.5. I think this is a very, very good life hack. Bless you, the person who invented this, because we are learning every day. Then on this point, we go and wash our swatch, because especially with our natural yarns, they can drastically change after the wash. They can change size and they can change appearance, and what we need to see how our piece will look after washing and blocking. Sometimes you can measure it before washing and blocking. I usually do it after. If it's acrylic yarn, it doesn't change a lot, and sometimes when I'm crazy to start, I just don't wash and measure it like I have it. And sometimes I don't even cut the yarn and I make a swatch, I measure it and I unravel and use the same yarn if I don't have enough. Don't tell to anybody, please, it's a secret. Then our swatch is ready, and then let's learn how we will do our measurements. As you see my swatches, some of them are very small because this was very thin yarn, and I used 19 stitches as well. All of them are made with 19 stitches, but as yarn and needles are different sizes, this I think we used 21 is okay as well. Then we have very different sizes. Then surely we don't have all of them 10 centimeters, and I'll show you what I usually do. I have here a couple of rulers, and I show you the differences and what I do, and you use your best way to do it. I found this ruler very nice, very bright color, very cute, but it has some little problem here. When you put your ruler here, and you see like your stitches are getting perfectly in, yeah, and it's like 5 centimeters measurements. Wow, lovely. But then I saw that if you see that it's not 5, it's like a couple of millimeters on one side till this little ear and a couple of millimeters on this side, then you need to align your stitch with the measurement, and then you like basically have half stitch less, and you know, very cute, but don't use it. Oh, sorry. Right, this is another gauge ruler. Let me take it away and show you. This is wonderful one of Tulip. It's a I think a Japanese brand, and I love it because it has small square here inside, which is 5 by 5 centimeters or 4 by 4 2 by 2 inches, which is a half of that 10 centimeters, but I have 10 centimeters as well on my outside. Then if I knit 10, if my swatch is big, I just measure here, but even here I just have 9. Or I can count this inside of the square, and as you see in this huge swatch, my stitch is cut in half, and then I have just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and half stitches, which will give me in 10 centimeters double of it, which will give me 13 stitches in 10 centimeters. And how we come there as well, what I like to do, I get my little ruler, and you see I have these centimeters measurements, stripes, and I like to put the first one, where is my stitches are all upside down. I put my first stripe of 0 in the beginning of the stitch, and then I will go by my measurements, and I look some point where I have full stitch matching with a measurement of a round number of centimeters. And here I have, for example, first point like this is 3 centimeters, just perfectly match with the final of the stitch. And then I go, I have, next one is just on 10 centimeters. And then when I have when I come to this point, I just keep my ruler in the place, and I start counting from here to my 0, and I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I have 12 stitches in 9 centimeters. And let me see, I get my calculator. 12 stitches I divide in 9 centimeters, and I have 1.3 stitches in 1 centimeter, which will give us that 13 stitches in 10 centimeters. But I use this number 1.3 for do all my calculations later, and you will see why. Let's see our new swatch. You can do any method, but I'll show you this with 5 centimeters ruler. Found initial of a stitch, and here you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 9 stitches in 5 centimeters, which means that in 10 centimeters we will have 18 stitches. We get my other method, and we look where we have some. I'll put my ruler here, and I'm looking where I don't have 9, but I have 7 centimeters, and I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And then I get my calculator. 13 divided on 7, I have 1.8 stitches in 1 centimeter, which gave us that 18 stitches in 10 centimeters. Like it. Here we go. Right, then you do it with any size of your swatch. The process is the same. You need to know how many stitches you have in 1 centimeter, and it will help you with all your other calculations, and you will see your swatch. If it's right in 10 centimeters, you just multiply your 1 centimeter stitches by 10. And now I will show you another little hack, a life hack, how you can mark number of your needles as well. Look, in this swatch, you see I didn't have this genius idea yet, and I just did knots on this tail, and then when I take this swatch, I know that I used for this swatch needles of 4 millimeters. On this swatch I have 2 knots on the right low corner and 1 little one on top on another one. You just remember which one you use for what, and I know that for this swatch I use 2.5 millimeter needles. I hope you like these life hacks, and I hope I help you with the calculations and your swatches, and I hope that now you will not afraid of your swatches and you will do them always before you start your project. If you like the video, thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.